Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramah Pumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Aham Bhajami Pujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Vaksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Goshpadi Kritavarashim Mashaki Rakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam Vande Viratnagam Charitam Raghunathasya Shatakoti Pravistaram Ekaikamaksharam Pumsan Mahapatakanashanam. Where we left off a couple of weeks ago was the different kinds of Ramayana commentaries by different personalities, some history on one or two of them. And I said, please remember one particular personality who wrote a very beautiful commentary on Ramayana. If you remember the name, who wrote Ramacharita, not Ramcharitmanas, but who wrote Ramacharita, and his name was? King? Not the king. His name was?
Tulsidas.
Not Tulsidas. That's Tulsidas is Ramacharitmanas. This personality, his name is, I can see this. Sometimes better not to speak. Oh, come on. I had it just now. All right. Will come to me. Anyway, Bhavabhuti, who wrote this extraordinary poetic composition on Ramayana. And we are going to talk about Bhavabhuti's Ramayana today to get a little context. Okay. So before we get there, we have to learn about Sriman Valmiki Mahamuni. So a lot will run parallel to how the Bhagavatam came into being and how the Ramayana came into being. Okay. So little on Bhagavatam. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse we say is the compact summary of the entire Bhagavatam. Then we say that the first three verses are the summary of the entire Bhagavatam. And then we say that the first chapter also gives an indication of what the rest of the Bhagavatam is. Similarly, the very first verse of Ramayana, okay, gives sort of an encapsulated context of what the Ramayana is, why it was created and what it is. And the first chapter also gives the entire Ramayana in summary form. So that chapter is called Sankshipta Ramayana. Sankshipta means in summary. So in the Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva has composed or compiled all the Vedic literatures. We call it magnum opus. For he broke down one body of knowledge into the 4 Vedas, the 18 Puranas, the 108 Upanishads, the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, the Samhitas, they're called the Upavedas. All of that he organized. And how did he feel? Not so great. Right? And because he was not feeling so great about it, he sat down at the banks of river Saraswati and started meditating on why he was feeling like that. And suddenly someone appeared. Sri Narada Muni. And Narada Muni helped him resolve his feeling of dejection or the feeling unhappy sense of that, oh, I've done so much, something there is not feeling good for me. The same is the situation, or very similar is the situation in Ramayana. Okay. So before we get into that, first let's talk about Valmiki. Now, in Amar Chitra Katha, in Ramanand Sagar, this and that, we've heard many different versions. But consistently, many of the acharyas narrate what I'm about to narrate as the very story of Valmiki. Many generations ago, Varuna was visited by the 4 Kumaras. And they wanted to have some discussion on a very important topic, on certain tattva about Krishna and the Supreme Lord's identity and his activities. So a very important, involved conversation. Varuna had a son by the name Harith. And while Varuna and the 4 Kumaras are having this very engaged conversation, Harith on the side was making bird noises like a peacock. Yeah, but he got cursed, so be careful. Okay. So Harith was making all these noises, bird noises, this thing, that thing. And it was annoying and disturbing. So the 4 Kumaras cursed Harith. Oh, you like to make all these bird noises? Go live in the forest. Live in the forest and be with people who are all interested in these kinds of noises and make these noises. So who's interested in bird noises primarily is hunters, because that's who are in the forest. So he was cursed to be born in the family of hunters. So Harith fell from grace, as they say, and grew up there with the hunters. And over time, hunting as a profession for that group went away. So they had no other means of livelihood. So they got into becoming dacoits and thieves. So they became highway robbers. So anyone who would walk through the forest, they would ambush and take away all their belongings. And if they didn't give it, they would threaten to kill and murder, but take away all their property. So that's how this young boy grew up into a full-fledged man with a family and earning his income by stealing from people. One day, the Sapta Rishis, the 7 great sages, were walking that way. So this, we're going to call him Harith. By the time the Harith name had already gone away, this guy jumped from out of the bushes, an ambush, and threatened them. Of course, the Sapta Rishis are very powerful. They could sprinkle some water. Right? Someone was cursed like that. When I got my Brahman initiation, was it Shirupa? Yeah. Or Shweta? They asked me, now you got Brahman initiation, can you curse by sprinkling water? Is that you? I think so. When I got initiated, someone asked me, oh, can you now sprinkle water and curse? I said, I can try on you. So the Sapta Rishis can curse anyone. But they didn't defend themselves. They just said, oh, why are you doing this as a profession? I said, no, this is how I earn my livelihood. This is how I maintain my family. And they shared with me in all my riches and whatever I bring. The 7 sages, great sages, they asked this Harith, oh, well, your family shares in all the wealth that you bring, but you understand that stealing is immoral and it has certain reactions. Will your family be willing to take a share of those reactions? And the reactions are not so great. because you have murdered and plundered also to get money. They said, oh yeah, sure, they will. So the 7 sages know, they knew Grahastha ashram a little better than Harith did. So they told him, go find out from your wife and children. He said, oh, I already know the answer. He went home, knocked on his door. Sweetie opened the door. And he asked her, hey, whatever wealth I bring, I share with all of you. Oh, yes, sure. We're very, very happy that you do. But I was told by somebody today that whatever wealth I bring, the means in which I'm bringing has certain severe reactions to it. So I'm assuming you will share those reactions too. And she said, sorry, honey. No, we will not share in those reactions because reactions are for you. The wealth is to share. We will not share. So he felt very heartbroken. Oh my God, I thought, I had a whole different idea of what my wife and family are all into, sharing in goodness and in not so good, in richness and poorer, as they say. And we thought we took all these vows. Apparently, that's not how it works. So he was very, I guess, disillusioned, or the illusion went away, or however, he ran back to the 7 sages. He said, you're right. They won't take any share. I said, yeah. Okay, then I don't think I have opened my eyes. This is not how I want to live my life. I want to be with you. I just follow you. I said, no, you cannot just follow us. No, but I want to make a change in my life. I want my life to become better. What should I do? So they told him, first you need to qualify yourself. And the best way to qualify yourself is to rise above this kind of mentality that you have to almost murder someone to get their wealth, into becoming a human being. And from human being stage, you can become enlightened. Okay, how do I do it? Tell me, how do I do it? So they said, we would like you to chant the name of Sri Ramachandra, the 2 syllables, Rama. He said, I can't pronounce that word. I can't say it. So they pointed to him a tree across him and said, what is that tree? He said, it's the Mara tree. They said, okay, great. Just recite the name of the tree, sit there and say Mara, 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 Mara. Because that sounds like Lord Ramachandra's name. So they didn't say anything Lord Rama. They said this name has the potency to pull a person out of the lowest stages of consciousness. However low one can get, this mantra has the power, the name, that's why we speak so much of the holy name. This 2 syllables can pull a person out of the darkest of the darkest situations and the darkest of the darkest layers of consciousness. So he said, okay, I will sit right now. Sat there, Mara, 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 started. And the 7 sages left. One thing was, he never asked how long. 16 rounds are enough. He didn't ask. They didn't say how long. So he just sat there. And he went on and on and on. And time passed and time passed. And he kept on chanting in such a way that as he was chanting, his absorption in the name became stronger and stronger and fixed to such an extent that he didn't move at all. And because there was no movement, it almost seemed like he was dead. Now, if you notice, there are ants. When you keep your finger and don't move, the ant will dare to come towards your finger, step on you. But if you move your finger, as soon as the ant senses that there is another life there, that there is some other being there, it will run. Because bhaya, fear, is one of the features. But he was sitting so silent that ants came by, started crawling on him. Generally, if an ant crawls on us, we feel tickled. He didn't feel anything. He was just too absorbed. 1 ant, 2 ants, they started moving on him. And slowly, the termites started building an anthill around him. But he was just chanting the names of Lord Rama. The anthill covered him completely and stayed there like that for 16 yugas. He was just chanting the name of Lord Ramachandra for 16 yugas. Then he had become so self-realized simply from chanting these two syllables. But he was so amazed. So at that time, Lord Brahma came with Varuna and showered on him this wonderful rain by which his entire anthill went away, and he came out in this effulgent body. Lord Brahma sprinkled water on him and blessed him. And along with Lord Brahma came Saraswati Devi and Gayatri Devi. And together they blessed him. And the specific blessing verses we will read once we get into the first chapter. But I'll just summarize for now. Lord Brahma blessed him that get up and you will have the power and the potency to compose the entire biography of Lord Ramachandra as it is happening. What has happened this far and as it is happening right now. Okay. And on your palm will work like your screen. So smartphone technology is already there, streaming. That when you look at your palm, you will see the entire activities of Lord Ramachandra, even those activities that happened in private that no one else knows, you will be able to see. And whatever you see, you write that down. And Saraswati Devi, she blessed him that I will sit on your tongue and make sure that words will flow at a very fast rate, correctly in all grammatical and poetic ways, and there will not be any errors of any kind. I will bless you that. Gayatri Devi said that I am the mantra through which everyone realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I bless you that your entire composition will be about the Gayatri mantra in a way that anybody can access. So generally Gayatri mantra is only given by Guru to a fit disciple. It's not spoken anywhere. So she said, through the Ramayana, you'll be able to reach anyone and they will all get the access to the Gayatri mantra. Except that it's not open like that. So the secret of it is this Ramayana that has 24,000 shlokas, right? The Gayatri mantra has 24 syllables. Tat Savitur Varenyam, that's how it starts. And at the end ends with Prachodayat. So for every 1,000 verses of the Ramayana, they either begin or right in the verse itself is the corresponding syllable of the Gayatri mantra. So for example, Tat Savitur, it starts with Ta. We'll notice in a few minutes that the first verse of Ramayana begins with Ta. After 1,000 verses, the next syllable is there. Another 1,000, the next syllable. Another 1,000, like that. The entire 24 syllables of the Gayatri mantra are there in the Ramayana, which means that if one studies the Ramayana, is like getting the same realization from chanting Gayatri mantra. All are there. So, for example, in the first sloka of Sundarakanda, which we're going to hear again later today, it says, Tato Ravana Nitaya Sitaya Shatrukarshanaha Iyesha Padamanveshtu Charana Charite Pati. Tato Ravana Nitaya. So, Tato Ravana Nitaya. That va comes from Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Deva. It's the 12,000th set of shlokas. So that's there in this verse. So like that, it goes on. So then, how Ramayana starts is, this is the scene. I may go a little over, I hope that's okay. It's very tough to break right there. So here is the scene. Just as Vyasadev sat, is disappointed or unhappy, Valmiki is sitting down along the banks of the Sarayu river in a very unhappy condition. That is how the Ramayana begins. And his unhappiness is this, that, and he has not had the realization of the entire Ramayana yet. Okay, he's a great Rishi, Valmiki, who's self-realized, and Lord Brahma has given him the benediction to write, but he has no context of the entire Ramayana yet. He is yet to do it. In fact, I'm sorry, Lord Brahma hasn't given him the blessings yet. It's going to happen. He has come out of the ant hill. Okay. So what has happened is, suddenly one morning, he finds a pregnant Sita walk into his ashram. And he is very unhappy that when she narrates her story, that I don't know what I did. I don't think I've done any mistake. I've lived with Sri Ramachandra for so many years. I'm pregnant. And today he decided to abandon me in the forest, very near your ashram. Literally, just a couple of blocks away or so. And so Valmiki is like, why? Why would somebody do anything like this, first of all? I mean, any normal person would, unless one is a complete demon, not treat a woman badly. What to speak of treating a pregnant woman? And this is the king, who is the emblem of dharma, supposedly, left his wife like that. No explanation, nothing. So he became very distressed. So he sits down and prays and meditates on Narada Muni. So that's the scenario. Generally we ask, why does the Ramayana just begin that one day Valmiki was sitting and Narada Muni showed up, right? And remember, we talked about Uttara Ramayana, which is the last canto. Uttara means epilogue. Sometimes Uttara, another meaning of the word Uttara is answers, right? So think of it as how sometimes a movie or a novel or a story begins. Suddenly you find the hero somewhere all the people are dead around them, and then it says, after the initial scene, it says 5 weeks ago, or 1 month ago, or 1 year ago, and then they relate the whole story, and near the climax, it brings you back to the same scene. Then you say, oh, that's what has happened. So in the Uttara Ramayana, Sita has been sent to the forest. But the Ramayana begins with Valmiki asking, oh, is there any person that I can really is there a perfect person in this world? That's how it begins. But the backstory is this. So against Lord Ramachandra, there are some doubts that people have. Why did he ask his wife to walk through the fire? After fighting and killing the entire Rakshasa clan for her, he told her, please walk through the fire to prove your chastity. Or you don't believe that your wife is chaste. So that's one aspersion. That, with some explanation, most people are like, yeah, okay, I can understand. Second is, how can Lord Ramachandra abandon his pregnant wife? And that is the very, very tough one. And it's tough for a lot of people, including Valmiki, who was so realized for 16 yugas. was reciting Lord Ramachandra's holy name. So we also chant Hare Krishna, and sometimes we fall into a little area where we think, I should be able to understand all the ways in which Krishna is operating. And although Bhagavatam is written, the pastimes are written. The other day, Maharaj was saying Bhagavatam class, he said, we sometimes say, I would not have done it this way. I don't know why Krishna did this. I would not have done it this way. Yeah. Thankfully, we can't do it that way. Only Krishna can do it the way he does and why he does. And it gives, of course, in this case, it casts a little of doubt on him. But if we can understand a little of, oh, wow, how the Supreme Lord acts in a way that different people can get different conclusions from it. That's part of why he does what he does. So I'll give you two references because we're students of Bhagavatam. First one, okay, and there are many like this, but one. Krishna played on his flute on the Sharad Purnima, autumn full moon, with the intent that all the Braja ladies will come. And as he was playing on his flute, young girls, young women, married women, mothers, chaste wives, and they were doing different activities. Some mothers were feeding their children breast milk. Some were serving their husbands dinner. Some were sitting next to their husbands. And as soon as they heard the flute, they all ran. They abandoned whatever they're doing. The mothers abandoned their children. The wives abandoned their husbands. That I can imagine. The ones who were romantically sitting with their husbands also packed and ran. And just uncontrollably, they did not even think how they were dressed. Was the makeup on? Was not on? It didn't matter. They ran. Okay? And they came to Krishna. What did he tell them? Hey, Shri Prila Prabhupada ki jai, class is over, please go back. He said, done, please go back. And they say, how can we go back? In the view of the entire society, you have in one moment completely marked us as unchaste because we ran for some other man. Everybody, the whole, according to the customs and social settings, we are all in one shot marked as unchaste. How can you do this? Oh, now you go back. We are going to live for the rest of our lives with our characters maimed that we're unchaste. We ran for some other man. But he said, go back. Of course, we glorify them. Glorify them. Although the act of Krishna is somebody else's wife to them. Okay. Another is, he walked out of Vrindavan, promising I'll come soon. Never came. All the Vrajvasis felt their life airs went out of their body. They just stood there at the banks of the Yamuna waiting. And Lota Baba is still waiting. Krishna has not returned. So there are times in which the Lord acts in certain ways. Recently we read one more. I'll tell you one more. Yudhishthir Maharaj is playing the game of dice. It is bad for him. Krishna was around. He didn't stop it. He didn't say, hey, regulative principle, what are you doing? He lost all his wealth. He lost all his brothers. He lost everything. And then he pawned Draupadi. Now, Draupadi was going through her periods. So, in those days, the custom was they wear only one piece of cloth during that time. Duryodhana told Dushasana, bring her here. So, someone said, so the messenger went and said, call Draupadi. So, the messenger came back and said, she cannot come. She is having her period. She's off the altar. She can't come. She can't come in public. She's not dressed properly. She can't come. Duryodhana looks at Dushasana and says, bring her here. Dushasana grabs Draupadi's hair and drags her into her assembly. And the description is there is blood on the floor while she's being dragged into the assembly. How insulting can it be? She's a great pure devotee. Krishna didn't stop it. Why? Why Krishna didn't stop? When Parikshit Maharaj, who was cursed by the Brahmastra, immediately showed up and protected him. But with Draupadi, didn't show, didn't come. Then the next insult came. Dushasana wanted to pull that sari off. I mean, how much is one piece of cloth? Dushasana, and how strong is Dushasana? He pulled and pulled. And she was trying this. She's generally called gentle lady. She's holding on. And ultimately it came to a point where she felt helpless and had to call Krishna. But why Krishna brought her all to that situation? Why couldn't he have stopped Draupadi situation even before? Dushasana could have gotten a heart attack and died on his way. Or got a stroke in his hand, couldn't work and couldn't touch Draupadi. But Krishna made his devotees go through all of this to teach, many things, right? So similarly, Lord Ramachandra sending Sita away has many layers of lessons. So one of the layers is first, in rasa, the highest rasa that we have learned, is vipralamba, separation. And this separation pulls on the heart a lot more than when they are together. And they have to enjoy it together and being separate. So this is one way of orchestrating. Now you say, there could be other ways of separation. They could have had a fight. Then Lord Ramachandra's character would have gone, oh, he fought with his wife. Second, the pastimes have to end at some point. Krishna also walked into the forest, and generally we say, oh, arrow hit his toe, right? And that too because it was cursed that the entire Yadava clan will be finished by that iron ball that Samba put under his cloth, right? At least Prabhupada says, Samba was a very mischievous boy and always had to be with his mother. That's why he got the name Samba. Sa Amba, always with the mother. Mischievous boy means mother old. So Samba, that was the guy. He went and did some mischief, the curse, and that arrow that hit the toe of the Lord was also made from that ball. Now, is Lord Krishna subject to a curse? No. Can an arrow hurt or kill Krishna? No. But that's a means by which the pastime comes to wrap. Right? Plus, by Krishna being hit by that arrow, materialists will say, it's just an ordinary human being. So they have something to hold on to. The Mayavadis will anyway say the form is not real, it's all just a transformation of Brahman. Actually, there is no form. So for them also, they have something to hold on to. For the devotees, it's a painful pastime that Krishna has to wrap up. So they also have some. So everybody has something to hold on to. So similarly, sending Sita away has a story and a purport for the devotees that we can hear and relish and understand. For the materialists also, there is something. For kings, there is something. For Mayavadis, there is. For everybody, there is something that they can hold on to in that pastime. This is the greatness of the Lord's action. That by one act, many things can be solved and addressed. So why Lord Ramachandra sent, this is where Bhavabhuti, I guess, gives a little indication for us to appreciate. So they came back killing Ravana, they came back and they lived not happily ever after, they lived happily. And by this point, Lord Ramachandra's age is about 41. And Sita, who's 6 years older, so she's about 37. Okay. And that is 41 was 40, 35. Sorry, my math is bad. 45. 35. 35 years old. That is when she's pregnant. Now, from Treta Yuga perspective, right, that's quite late. So some people feel, oh, I'm late, I've not had children, or I'm marrying late. For us, Lord Ramachandra and Sita Devi are the example. They had children late, no problem. That's okay. They were married very young. Lord Ram was 14 and she was, there's an 8-year difference, sorry. He was 14, she was 6. That's when they were married. Yeah. Then they lived together for almost 12 years. Ramchandra was between 12 and 14. Then they lived 12 years together in the palace before Dasaratha decided to coronate him. So that time Lord Ramchandra was 24. She was about 16 and when she goes to the forest. Then you add 14 years to it. 38. So she's 38, Lord Ramchandra is about 45, 46. That's when she's, plus 1 or 2 years because they were in the palace. That's when she's pregnant. Okay. So what happened is Lord Ramachandra and Sita Devi, Lord Ramachandra commissions, this is Bhavabhuti's example, story. He commissions all the artists in the kingdom to paint what they know of Lord Ramachandra and Sita Devi's story in a way that he can have it in a gallery and go back, like album. Google Photos tells you on this month, this is where you were and these are some pictures, puts together a little album for you. This is old technology. So Lord Ramachandra said, have painters. And then it was all done. They were nicely displayed. He and Sita Devi, while she's pregnant, they come and look at these pictures. Say, oh, look at that. Oh, do you remember when we were married, you broke the bow? So we're going to come to all of that. Oh, that was such a beautiful instance. Oh, yeah, this is our wedding photo. This is the situation. Oh, we had to go to the forest, blah, blah, blah. They come to the picture where they're in Chitrakoot. And she says, I really love this time. Many people think we were in the forest and we were in distress and difficulty. But honestly, this was the best time of my life. No nuisances, no disturbance. It was so calm, so peaceful. I loved this time. And the picture next to it is where they're in this beautiful forest. There are all these peacocks, parrots, beautiful verdant trees, fruits and flowers. So pretty. Some of us went to Chitrakoot. Right? I completely lost it. It was so amazing place, Chitrakoot. And where we went to Atreya Rishi and Anusuya's palace, ashram, where the Mandakini river is there. Oh, fantastic. Even today in Kali Yuga, it's there. So you can just, I guess, imagine or cannot imagine how it must have been during Treta Yuga time. So she said, I love this place. And anyway, our children who are going to be born are going to be living in a palace in the middle of royal pleasures. They may never get a chance to see how we lived in the forest. It would be nice if ever they can grow up in that environment, like that. She was saying. And while she's expressing this to Ramachandra like that, an attendant comes into the room and says, I have a message from sage Vasishta and his wife Arundhati. Vasishta is the guru for the family. They say, yeah, what's the message? So Vasishta says, my dear Lord Ramachandra, your wife is pregnant and it is your duty to fulfill all the desires of your pregnant wife. That you must do. That's the duty of a husband. Whatever desire she has. I feel like eating this, I feel like going there. You should fulfill all of them. So she just spoke this and the message came from Vasishta that you should fulfill all her desires. So Lord Ramchandra got into thinking. That evening, actually the next morning, one of his messengers, his name is Bhadra. He knocks on the door and he says, my dear Lord Ramachandra, on your behalf I walk everywhere at night as one of your spies. And basically, this is Lord Ramachandra's customer satisfaction survey. He wants to know how all his praja are doing. Are they doing well? How his satisfaction score is, etc. So he brings news, Bhadra. So Bhadra says, everyone's very happy. This is okay. That's okay. And when we read Ayodhya Kanda, you will see how everyone is very happy. He said, I just heard one conversation. I'm not sure if it is very important or not, but I heard it, so I'm relaying it to you. You may decide to ignore it or whatever. And what I heard is there's a argument between a husband and a wife. The husband is arguing that, hey, Sita Devi stayed in someone else's home for 1 year, right? And Lord Ramachandra took her back. Yeah, of course, he asked her Agni Pariksha, but he took her back. So, technically, I could also have some doubts about my wife, but I guess it's okay because it's not conclusive and whatever. Usually by this time, the wife should not be taken back. Because in the next yuga, in Dwapara Yuga, when Krishna releases the 16,000 princesses from Bhaumasura's captivity, he says, now you're free to go. What do they say? We have left home. So according to the rules of society at that time, once we've left home, we would not be accepted as, unmarried or chaste girls. You are our only shelter. And that's how he marries the 16,000 princesses. So she has been out of the house for a year in Ravana's palace. Who knows if ever there was some interest in Ravana's wealth or Ravana himself. We don't know. Although Lord Ramachandra proved it for everyone. So this conversation happened. So Lord Ramachandra puts all together. Okay, there's that. I am a king. And for me, more than my own reputation, my duty as a king stands above. A lot of people say, oh, come on, for one's own duty, how can you do this to your wife? We can't understand it because we always put ourselves and what we think is ours first before duty. Lord Ramachandra is the emblem of dutifulness. So for many people, this is a gap that they cannot cross. Okay, that how you put duty first. However, in movies, when we see it, we clap and make the movie successful. For example, if the hero or whatever is the villain, and the police officer is his own brother, and the last climax scene is whatever, my dear brother, don't go away, and he's running away, and then he shoots him, kills his brother, but he gets this medal because he held duty above the life of his own brother. Hit movie. Lord Ramachandra also put duty first. Okay, but it was a very, very deep pain and cost for himself. Right? Now, for most person to say he left his wife or they had some problems, I think it's common to understand. Oh, okay, but it's very uncommon to understand how much love Lord Ramachandra and Sita Devi share. They're eternal. What is it? Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. They're really not separate from each other. How can Lord Ramachandra, how can the person that he loves so much and adores so much, but when it came to the fork in the road or the crossroads, as Atmanam Manyusham Manye, I always consider myself a human being, he took this path of duty. So for all persons in the coming later, Lord Ramachandra also left that, human being, he can make mistakes. That's another trick of Lord Ramachandra. Because if a human being was so perfect, then he might be God. So this is one area where it seems as if there is a flaw. So it remains that he's human. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, we all say, Channa Avatar, hidden, right? Nowhere did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ever manifest that he is not human. Although he showed the 6-armed form, he did this, he did that, so many places. But he said, no. And he said, oh, you're the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, 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 and you would jump into the river. So when Lord Ramachandra constantly in Ramayana says, Atmanam Manyusham Manye, I always consider myself a human being. In that sense, human being is possible to err, although there is no mistake. So, next morning, Lord Ramachandra told Lakshmana, hey, you have an assignment. You have to take Sita out for an excursion. Oh yeah, no, I'll be honored. You take her to very near Valmiki ashram, drop her there, and Lakshmana said, what? What do you mean drop her there and come back? Just, why? That's what you have to do. Lakshmana said, my gosh, I cannot fulfill this. The instruction is too difficult for me. Yeah. He said, all right, I have no other choice, I guess. So when Sita is traveling, she asked him, where are we going? So I'm taking you to the forest. Oh, when are we coming back? I'm very sorry. You're not coming back. She says, what do you mean I'm not coming back? Oh, Lord Ram has asked me, there's only one-way ticket. She says, Lakshmana, look at me. Look at my condition. And Lakshmana says, he never looked at Sita Devi. So he said, okay, just look at my stomach. I'm pregnant. How can he be so hard-hearted? He said, I have no explanation. So he drops her there and comes back. He's completely crestfallen. She is also crestfallen. And that's when she walks into Valmiki's ashram. When Valmiki sees Sita Devi, he's stunned. And in that stunned condition, he sits down. That is how Ramayana begins. And let me pause before I get into the specific shlokas. Any questions or comments? Oh, yeah. So many people have a axe to grind or a bone of contention with Lord Ramachandra, and they feel this is how women were oppressed, and they, I guess, advocate for Sita. So in those shlokas in Uttara Ramayana, she puts a case for herself so strong that Lakshmana, who very easily is dharmagya, he can very quickly say what's correct, what's not correct, has no answer. Just as Draupadi stunted all Bhishma, Drona, what's his name, the blind king, Dhritarashtra, everyone, they couldn't answer her questions. It was so correct. So generally the acharyas say, rather than you being an advocate for Sita Devi, when you're in difficulty, please invite her to advocate for you. She is very, very good. So if you're in a difficult situation, you don't know how to solve it, pray to Sita. She will fight your case for you. It's not like you have to feel sorry for her and fight. She doesn't need you. She is very good. But anyway, that's the... I had some hands raised there. Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3. Go ahead. Whatever order.
I had an appreciation, like the last thing you said. Lakshmana is basically Lord Baldev,
Yeah.
who is the spiritual master. And I was thinking, Lakshmana, how surrendered he was in his service to Lord Ramchandra. He knew, like in his heart, he knew like the instruction he received from the Lord, that he has to go and leave Sita in the forest. Internally he was not accepting. He couldn't accept that, but he did. And I was thinking how the spiritual masters like that, like even in the most difficult circumstances, he will always align with the instruction of the Lord.
Very good.
Irrespective of how he will be perceived or how he will be judged, it doesn't matter. Spiritual master laziness, so surrendered. So I appreciate it.
Excellent. Did people on the computer hear?
Can you repeat that?
Prabhu, could you please repeat it?
Yeah, I will not be so eloquent as Hemangi, but basically, I have to win my brownie points. So yeah, there it is. Shirupa is showing like this. she said that although Lakshmana was the spiritual master, he can see that this is very painful for Sita Devi, but he doesn't, he always aligns himself with the Supreme Lord. And that's the function of the Guru, that they don't interfere in a way that disrupts the Supreme Lord's plan and how he's orchestrating something for someone very dear to him. Is that?
More, I was thinking like personally that it's even when he thinks differently.
Even when he thinks that
but he will
differently.
still align with the interest of the Lord.
Even when he thinks differently, still he aligns himself with the plan of the Lord.
Irrespective of how he will be seen or criticized, it doesn't matter.
Irrespective of how he will be seen or perceived or criticized later. Yeah, why Lakshmana could not stop it all. Lakshmana could have said, Ramachandra. Because earlier when Dasharatha sent Ramachandra to the forest, said, I will cut off Dasharatha's head. I don't care. But here he didn't say anything. Like, they're all against women. There the orchestration was to go to the forest. Here the orchestration is for her to be sent to the forest.
And I have a question.
Okay.
When you were talking about Krishna playing the flute and how the gopis all immediately ran towards Krishna, just a thought came that only Krishna is Purusha and everybody else is Prakriti. And even Gopas, the husbands were all Gopas, how come they were not as attracted to Krishna's flute playing like the way gopis were? Because it would be pretty, like, it is so attractive that the gopis were, and how come Gopas were also pretty pure, didn't have the urge to go and...
That was a romantic song he played. And in the mornings, he would play his flute. That was the call for all the friends to go to the forest with the cows, and they ran. So they are not dodos that they can't recognize what kind of song it is. It is, hey, oh, they all run. So then the women ran. Krishna plays many songs. Two questions. Can this be moved there so people can hear the questions? Okay.
No, they can only hear it from you.
Oh, this is for us. Oh, okay.
But even then, if you move, audio will be.
He's anyways repeating.
I'm repeating the question.
So my first question was, this is just a clarification. So Valmiki did tapasya, and he was in his ashram feeling forlorn. So when did he get the benediction again?
So I said Brahma comes right after this.
Right after Sita comes, and Valmiki's like, how could this event
Correct.
come and give the benediction? Now you tell the whole story. Now you, like you said, you get the full off.
Correct.
Correct. Then you said something about how the Gayatri mantra is an expansion. 24,000 verses of the Ramayana, an expansion of the Gayatri mantra, same question of Bhagavatam also.
Exactly.
Use the example of the word ba, which appears both in the opening verse as well as the
Not opening verse. In the opening verse of the Sundarakanda.
Sundarakanda. My confusion was that what is the connection exactly? Because the Gayatri mantra has certain alphabets. Those alphabets produce other verses in other places.
Right.
On the basis of that alone, we can't make a connection, right? So what is the underlying idea?
So just the way the Gayatri mantra proceeds, Tat Savitur, along the 24,000 verses of the Ramayana, every 1,000 verse, Tat Savitur. So you have gone through the entire Gayatri mantra that is coded into the Ramayana.
So you're chanting the Gayatri while you chant.
Because my understanding is Gayatri mantra as such cannot be given to the people to get qualified. But to read Ramayana, you don't need that qualification. So even if you're disqualified, if you read the entire Ramayana, you will get the same result.
And
right?
That's one. That in terms of only reciting, that you would have recited all the 24 syllables of the Ramayana, of the Gayatri mantra, by studying the Ramayana. Second is that the Gayatri mantra encapsulates, both literally and physically, encapsulate the Supreme Lord and his consort. So that is being revealed. When we chant Gayatri, it is ultimately said that Radha and Krishna are revealed. Same way. By reading Ramayana, the Supreme Lord and his consort are revealed, that are encapsulated in the Gayatri Mantra, that anybody cannot recite.
And the last piece of Krishna I wanted to share with you based on a class I recently heard, because you were expanding on this point about how Lord Ram is the kind of leader who chose the country over his own personal interest. And that's very difficult for the rest of us to do because we're very self-centered. And in this lecture I was hearing, the point was being made that actually in every incarnation, Krishna chooses the welfare of society and mankind over the affection of his intimate devotees, like as Krishna. He leaves Vrindavan and goes to kill demons. As Lord Ram, he does the same thing. As Lord Chaitanya, he abandons his mother and his wife to preach. Then the devotee given the class made the point that just see how much the Lord does to benefit us, but how much are we really sacrificing in our relationship with him.
Can I repeat this? So this devotee Harisham here is saying that he heard in a class that in different incarnations, the Supreme Lord, in all contexts, chooses the welfare and benefit of society in general over the love that he has for his own devotees per se. So the examples were that one I gave of Lord Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his own aged mother and wife and went on to help the conditioned souls, etc. So that is in general the Lord's nature and way of doing things. He wants to help society in general.
So then the point was, if he's giving up so much
If
for
he-
us, then how much are we in return?
So the point in the class apparently was, if he is doing so much for society in general, what is society doing, or what are we doing in return to reciprocate with him? Yeah? Go ahead.
So I heard a nice story behind why Lord Ramchandra sent Sita to the forest.
Okay.
There is one Sri Sampradaya. The Acharya explains that there was a demon called Suranaka. So she is also like similar to Surpanaka. So she asked the Lord Brahma the boon that I should be only killed when energy and energetic are separated. When Lord Ramachandra and Sita are separated, then only at that condition I should be killed. Otherwise, no. So that's the reason Lord Ramachandra sends Sita to away so that he can kill the demon. And he
Who
was
can
like,
kill the demon?
Lord Ramachandra can
Oh.
kill the demon. So that all the people in Ayodhya will be peaceful. That's the reason people will many criticize.
So there is another explanation that there was a demoness by the name Suranaka. All of them have something to do with nails on it. Suranaka. That prayed or had a benediction from Lord Brahma that the only opportunity that she will be killed under is if the Supreme Lord and his consort are separated. Energy and energetic are separated. Only in that condition. So this was orchestrated in one way so that Suranaka could be killed and the residents of Ayodhya can be protected by her, from her. Any?
Yes,
Yeah?
Prabhu. I have a question, Prabhu. This is Paramatma Das.
Of course you are.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I was hearing about the son of Varuna. Okay, and he did the tapasya, Sapta Rishi suggested, and that story is parallel to what I heard as he was Ratnakar Das and Valmiki gave the similar kind of story I heard. So,
The name Ratnakara came later, but I don't have a firm reference for Ratnakar.
okay.
So in Ananda Ramayana, the story is there. In the Skanda Purana, is the parallel story there. But the Skanda Purana has 4 different versions of it. It's in the same Purana itself. I'm not a student of Skanda Purana to say exactly this is what it is. But Ananda Ramayana and Skanda Purana both have the Sapta Rishis helping. And Harith comes from the Skanda Purana.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Radha has a question.
Oh, Radha.
I don't. This is not in the story you're talking about, but it's more ahead. Like when Sugriv is getting up the army to search for Sita. Could I ask it?
Yeah, sure. Ask it.
So
Answer it when we come to Krishna.
when Sugriva, Sugriva was talking to the south region, about the south region, to the monkeys who were going in the south. So he said that there were some islands further, some islands that are after Lanka. So when Numan was searching it, why did he kind of give up in the when he was searching for Sita in Lanka when there were other islands to go?
Because Sampati tells him that Sita is in Lanka. So he feels that I searched everywhere, I can't find her. He doesn't say she's not here, he just says I can't find her. And that is where he is feeling dejected. Because Sampati can see that Ravana took Sita to Lanka. Does that help, brother?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, there's a question here. It's 10:53. What should we do?
We heard.
Yeah.
So many.
All right. I didn't even get to what I wanted to say.
We heard Srila Prabhupada saying eventual age limit of all the yogas, 4 yogas. So 1 lakh years in Satya Yoga, right?
So you take Kali Yuga, 432, and twice that is Dwapara, thrice that is Treta,
No.
and 4 times that is Satya Yuga. Okay.
My question is for a person, human being, age limit.
Right.
So Satya Yoga was 1 lakh.
100,000, correct. 1 lakh, 100,000 years they lived.
10,000 in
10,000.
and 1,000 years.
Oh, that's the stump question.
And you said Harit was meditating for 14 yugas. So little doubt.
What is the little doubt?
So
why didn't he die?
14 yugas, how it is possible?
One who's chanting the name of Lord Ramachandra with such absorption, we know time doesn't act the way it acts on otherwise the bodies. Even so, then his body was all eaten up or whatever by the termites in the anthill. Just as Hiranyakashipu's body was eaten up by the ants. And it had emaciated that he was able to preserve his life in the marrow of the bone. That's inside the bone, there's a little liquid-like thing called marrow. That is where he preserved his life. So people can live longer. Even in Kali Yuga, Prabhupada, if you hear his class, he says those who have yoga siddhis, they look like 70-year-old babas, but they're at least 300 years old. Because when you're in such trance, the breathing process becomes slow. Dhruva Maharaj was breathing once in 15 days. Right? So, if you don't use your breath, your life is longer. That is also from a yoga perspective. So he was living for a very long time. Okay, I wanted to start with the first verse of Ramayana. We will do it next time. There are some really nice ones here. But anyway, that's how I'll say the first verse, but we'll explain this first verse when we meet next week. So if you ever get the Ramayana, it just says Srimad Bhagavatam as 1.1.1. Ramayana begins with Tapaswadhyaya Niratam tapasvi vagvidam varaha naradam paripracha Valmiki munipungavaha. The simple translation is tapas swadhyaya niratam, completely fixed in tapa and swadhyaya. Niratam, it means fulfilled or very accomplished. Tapasvi, who is the tapasvi? Valmiki. Paripracha, he asked in a very specific way to Narada, who is Muni Pungava, the best among all the Munis. He asked him because Narada is Vagvidam Varaha, the best of speakers. He asked him because his heart is in this painful condition. And that's when the rest of the words begin. And this, the beginning of Ramayana with Tapas Swadhyaya has a lot of meaning. We'll spend at least 20 minutes next time just discussing the first word, Tapa. Or you just Tapas Swadhyaya. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Ramayana ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.